in battle, boy, you're paranoid. Trust in the Most High.
Hey guys, and welcome to Dark Arts 91 podcast. We are giving you guys an exclusive live. We're talking to you today about one question and one question only. We're talking about some dark art stuff. Yes, this question here. But listen, have you ever been in a situation where you haven't said sorry? Some of you have. I know some of you, this is your perfect topic. This is something that you've experienced. This is something that you live in. You don't say sorry. And one of them is on the panel today. But some of you do not say sorry. You know what I'm saying? And so we decided to bring you a dark art special. I'm with two fabulous people. You've seen them on my channel before. I'm with Jay Anderson and Naomi. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a second or two. But at first, I've got to let you guys know, as we're on Dark Arts channel, that means we're here to give you guys a live talking about how to navigate dating and how to avoid the pitfalls of manipulation, influence, and control. If you're tired, like I'm tired of being controlled in relationships, then this is the channel for you. All right. But listen, I am joined by two fabulous people. I'm going to let them introduce themselves one by one. Jay Anderson, introduce yourself, sir.
Yes, how you doing, everyone? It's me again, Jay Anderson. Looking forward to this conversation. But you know what? Ladies first. Naomi, you go first.
Here, Naomi Bellu, better known as the Diva. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I would like for Koji to take accountability for all the things he's done, which he needs to apologize for. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You started.
And by
already.
the way, can I just a piece of PSA? Like, these two trying to tag team against me, so please comment below and make sure you guys are on my side. Thank you.
I don't know what she's talking about. Jay, talk to them.
I don't know what you're talking about, Naomi. I just tell the truth, innit? Whichever way it goes. It just so happens the truth is only on one side so far. So, so yes, people. So go in the comments. Tell us how you feel with the conversation. It's going to be a great one. Looking forward to it. Definitely, I'm not going to say man versus woman, woman versus man, but we'll tell the people that's going to have a good conversation. Let's go.
Like to hear that. All right, cool. So today's discussion guys, you can see it scrolling across the screen. I'm going to put it up on there so it's not scrolling, so you can actually see the question. So we're talking about purposely not saying sorry in order to feel like you have not lost your power over someone or in a situation, I should say. I probably didn't put all the words there. But today's topic, we're talking about not saying sorry on purpose. Is there a time, I want to ask both my panelists, has there been a time where you've not said sorry purposefully? And I want to know also your reason as to why you've not said sorry. So that's very important. So who wants to go first to answer this question? You've not said sorry in your life and you know you didn't want to say sorry. Why didn't you say sorry at that time? What was going through your mind when you didn't say sorry? Naomi looks guilty, so Naomi, go for it.
I see what's happening here. Like, what have I done? Well, I'm just sitting here minding my business. Like, definitely guilty of not apologizing. I don't say sorry if I don't mean it. If I can't say I'm sorry for something that I'm not sorry for. And sometimes I know I owe somebody an apology, but I'm not over said situation that facilitated my said reaction, which obviously requires the apology. But I need to get over how I feel before I can give you a sincere apology. So sometimes I just take a bit longer to apologize to, like, kind of, I don't know, make sense of how I feel. And okay. I need to work on not saying if I hurt your feelings. That's my I did really.
Are you one of them?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, not if you did hurt my feelings. Yeah.
You one of them. If...
Can you fix your face, please? And how about you go?
Jay, she's talking to you, sir.
Oh, she's not. No. You can hear me, yeah? Let me see. Do you know what? I'm not really someone that struggles to say sorry, you know? Like, we'll get into this, but I don't see that as being weak or... Yes, Naomi? I don't see that as being weak or, you're losing your strength. But that's just me. But I understand being in that situation where other people don't want to apologize. I get where that comes from because there is a sense of pride there. Like, I had a phone call from someone where their sister did them something and she didn't want to see her part in the wrong. And I just basically had to set her straight. I understand what she did, but you kind of started it, so you need to apologize. And she admitted to me she didn't want to apologize because of how she was feeling because of pride. And I said, listen, if you want her to apologize to you, there's no reason for that. Don't wait for her. Just you understand what you should have done, just go and apologize to her. So I've been in those situations where people wouldn't really want to apologize to me because of pride, because of how they felt, because they wanted to get one up on me, or feel like if they apologize to me, I'm gonna all of a sudden see them some way. So, but that's just my life. Like, I really don't find it hard to apologize. If I've done something and I understand it and I'm able to talk about it, listen, I'd rather dead it. I'd rather apologize and get over and done with, because me, I don't like stress. I like my blood pressure low, but that's just me anyway.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. So you shared your so you haven't really been in that situation. So I guess me and Naomi can kick off this conversation. I also have not said sorry on several occasions. Sometimes I didn't say sorry because I felt like you didn't deserve an apology. Who are you? You know what I mean? I didn't think I needed to give you an apology. I think there's sometimes where I didn't want to give an apology because I felt justified in what I did. You know what I mean? Like you slapped me, I slapped you. Why am I saying sorry? You know what I mean? Everyone's got a sore cheek now. Let's everybody go home. You know. And then the other one that I think is probably a bit more darker is maybe I can open the floor with this darkness. There's been times, when we say about relationship wise, where I have not said sorry. I probably know I'm wrong, but the pride is literally attacking me in that moment, and I don't want to say sorry. To go deeper, there's been times where I've not said sorry because it's a power play. I need you to know that I'm a bit of a dick, and I'll be honest with you. I've not said sorry in those moments because I was trying to wrestle some power back in the relationship between myself and you, and so I didn't say sorry. Now, I don't know if any of that identified with any of you saints on this particular side of the internet, but that's my particular truth. So, Mr. Anderson, you're nodding your head, but you didn't give anything. You said you haven't been in that situation, so I'm gonna skip over you and come back to you. But Naomi, talk to me. What's the saying?
I relate to everything you said, especially where you spoke about feeling justified in your actions. I'm somebody, okay, for the most part, it takes me a long time to get to a point where I'm carrying out actions that, are not immediately how I want to be seen. And if I get to that point, it's very likely that I'm not going to be sorry for how I acted, because whatever made me go there, I kind of made a decision at that point to accept that I'm angry and I want to react. So oftentimes I have to apologize to people. I'm sorry that I carried out this behavior, but I'm not really sorry about my actions because you brought me to this point almost. It's a weird, and that's why I was saying that my apologies can sometimes come across very weird, because ultimately I know that what I did was wrong and I'm sorry about that, but I'm not really sorry that I carried out those actions because you made me angry, if that makes sense.
Listen, I totally understand you 100%. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I agree with you. I'm sorry for the fact that, you know what, you've been hurt in the process, but I really don't care for the action, because I did what I did because I felt what I felt. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
exactly.
you got what you got.
What about the reverse?
Well, Jay thinks that he thinks something different to us. Obviously, clearly he's a saint. So I'm gonna let Jay. Jay, what are you saying?
You two toxic people. What's going on, both of you? What's going on? What's happening? Listen, if you're going to apologize. Don't give excuses. Just apologize. Do you know why? Because if that's the relationship you have, you're both going to be unhappy in the long run. If you're going to go your separate ways and not care about the person, it's entirely up to you. But end of the day, you know inside yourself what you're doing. And it's about the power play, as you said. It's about the pride, everything else. I'm not saying I've been a perfect partner. All I'm saying is, in my relationships, I wasn't the one that found it hard to apologize. And every single one of those women have come back to say, I am sorry for not apologizing. I'm sorry for not communicating. I'm sorry for not addressing things when they should have been addressed. So that's why I say I personally haven't been the main perpetrator, but I've been through many of those situations. And I have been the victim of people like you.
And how did it feel?
How did it feel? Listen, let's get real. Because if you're not going to apologize properly, sometimes you'll make the person feel like they're not even worth an apology. Like the love that you said you have doesn't even exist, because then you want to check are they okay or admit that you're wrong. But that's extreme level. Sometimes you just want to banter. Sometimes you just want to, just it's not that serious. But sometimes if you're a certain way, you can't really switch it off. And what happens inside of you, it will really get you at the wrong point. And sometimes some people end up losing that person just because they didn't want to communicate properly. Sometimes you poured fire on a situation simply because you didn't want to say sorry properly. We've all been through those situations. So to me, it's always just about understanding you and just realizing what type of relationship do you want, not just with your husband, wife, your partner, but with brothers, with sisters, with friends. You know, in fact, coming from an African household, we know our parents, they don't like apologizing to their children. And how did they make us feel? So it's the same thing. So that's me anyway.
Naomi, what you saying?
When you said that African parents thing, it just hit home. And I think a lot of my inability to sometimes take accountability comes from like the experiences I've had at home. For example, I know now that if my mum does something and she wants to apologise, she's probably going to offer me food, and I have to accept that that's her way of telling me that she feels bad. And then ultimately there's like a domino effect of expression, because I found that, you know, sometimes I might carry out an action and I feel like, you know, if I just show up and, you know, smile and be nice, and people kind of forget about it. It's like, no, you have to actually say the words, I am sorry, and make people feel like, you know, validated in their experience and their feelings and stuff. I was going to ask you guys if you have any experience in reverse psychology in terms of apologizing to hone in on your power, because that's something I do as well sometimes. You know, he knows, he's laughing because he knows
Jay, what are you gonna say? Sorry.
Wait. Say that again, because I want to be clear. Say it again, please.
You know how sometimes you can, well, I have sometimes apologized so I can be in my power. You know, sometimes you can tell that somebody wants to be angry, and you get like the best thing you could do. Well, they would want for you to react in a way that kind of heightens said tension. You apologizing kind of makes you seem like the bigger person. So it's like reverse psychology. Like, I'm apologizing first because I'm trying to be in my power, basically. No?
Okay, you see this one, yeah? I've been that guy. I'll have to say that. I've been that guy.
Okay,
But-
no. You got me going somewhere.
But it was still genuine. It's just that I realized if I carried on the nonsense, it's just going to be silly. So I just said, let me be the bigger person and just apologize immediately. So I've been that guy. And at the same time, I fully understood I was in power.
Yeah.
And you know, some people, they hate that with a passion. They want you to carry on what they're doing. They hate the fact you just apologize. But they'll still try. But I've been that guy, so I get what you're saying. I fully understand. Fully
Seeing
understand.
the dark side of Jason, I like that.
You know what I mean? I've just had to work on it, so that's all.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I definitely know what you're talking about in terms of the reverse psychology aspect. But I love the explanation you gave about the apology, and maybe Jay can give us a different perspective, because I think I have the same perspective as you, Naomi, which is in a household, parents don't apologize, or I should say more my dad rather than my mum, but when my dad didn't apologize, once he's done wrong, it is what it is. Get over it, be done, because there's no conversation afterwards, you know what I mean? Right is right for them and wrong is wrong for me. So irrespective of whether they came to a conclusion or the light later on, they're not going to apologize. And something enough like yourself as well, like when, like as well, like when they go a little bit overboard, you know, now they start trying to be nice, you know, add the extra meat to your food. You know, you can tell when, you know, they're trying to make up the time. Go on, take £5 with my purse. Go on, and you go and buy something at the shop. Keep the change, kind of nonsense. They do little things, you know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes when I felt unheard, and I think maybe I didn't realize I was feeling unheard as a youngster, but obviously when I got older, I realized when you feel unheard and you feel like you're misunderstood, you know what I mean? When you try to present your case and you're halfway through your case and all you hear is shut up, we don't care. Like, you're halfway through presenting your case, like, oh, that's not how it happened, shut up. Did I ask you to talk? You're talking, do you know what I mean? Like, things like that, your whole expression gets shut down. And I think that is why also for me, like, a lot of the sorries and stuff like that became either prideful or a power play or do reverse psychology, like, oh, I'm apologize. I'm apologize. Don't worry about it. But I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of that for me turned into that. Do you know what I mean? If that made sense. Yeah.
I can relate.
So Jay, yeah, I don't know Naomi can. Jay, you obviously have a different perspective to me and Naomi. So what are you gonna say, Naomi?
I was gonna swear, but it's fine.
Okay, Jay, she's lost. Jay, I want to know your maybe a bit more of your background in terms of did you suffer the same way in terms of your childhood, and maybe you just dealt with things differently, or you know, do you have a similar kind of background in terms of that?
My background was exactly the same, but was what you said. I decided consciously to deal with things differently. So even me and my dad, we had some trouble a couple of weeks ago. My mum was here, my oldest daughter was here. He was completely in the wrong, but he looked me in my face and said he would never apologize to me. Now, at this point, I was fine. I'm used to him, etc. I've forgiven him. I'm used to everything. I was like, wow, okay, you're bold enough to now say this from everyone. And you know that African look, when they look you in the face and with that, I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. And I said, that's all right. But for me, I chose to behave differently. So after that, he never apologized, but he did the things.
Wait, why did you choose to behave differently?
Because I didn't want to be like that. I saw the pain in the house. I saw the pain in other people's eyes. I saw how people reacted to some people, not everyone, but some people who are like that. And I said, I don't want to be someone who causes people to feel this way. So I said, I need to be different. So, and in my response to him, because I chose not to be like him, he had no leg to stand on. And this goes back to talking about being petty, by the way, but he has no leg to stand on. So after that, he's now being nice. He's now saying, go and do this, talking to me softly, just being normal. But I remember everything that was said. But it's cool. But for me, I just didn't want to be like him. I just didn't want to be like that. And that's how I am generally. With people, in my relationships, they will all tell you, I'm not someone that it's not difficult for me to apologize. It's not difficult for me to be accountable. It's not difficult for me to be self-aware. But unfortunately, I'm the one who's dealt with women who that was difficult for them to do. Like my life, I just want to be happy. I just want to be at peace. We all have our toxic side to us. We all have things that we need to work on. But where that stems from, I chose not to have the same type of relationship with people that my dad chose, that my dad does still have to this day. So that's where my changes come from. That's why my perspective is the same, but my outcome is different.
Okay, cool. No, I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Because obviously, clearly we didn't choose we didn't choose that pathway. Because I'm saying bun your feelings, to be honest, in those moments. I mean, I didn't necessarily choose to want to be, like not say sorry, but I think in those moments my feelings were, I'm just not gonna say. I didn't have it in me to say sorry. I'm like, you gonna get it. So I don't know for you. What about you? Like, why do you think you didn't choose the J path?
I mean, for the most part, I guess I'm just mildly exaggerating on the toxic aspect of my expression in like the inability to apologize. Like I said, I'm more on the side of the fence where I feel empowered when I apologize to people. It makes me kind of feel better about myself when I say sorry now. But I guess I can't really take away from anything Jason has said in terms of just wanting different outcomes and carrying out different behaviors. If I don't say sorry to someone, it's really just because I'm trying to prove, like, it's my ego against theirs for the most part, and I really have to not care about our relationship to not want to apologize. And there's most people I care about too much to not say sorry. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If it's not, I don't know, something life-threatening regarding family or money or like my husband, it's like, it's not that deep. Like, we can move on. I'm quite an impulsive person, so I always say to people that I'm quote unquote angry with my chest and I'm sorry with my chest as well. So the same energy you get when I'm being impulsive and reactive is the same you're going to get when it's time to take accountability.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that point as well. I think I'm thinking about the past in terms of maybe some of the, before the work started, some of the past like relationships and how I was without actually any work being put in. I can remember just some of the arguments where, you know, maybe saying sorry. I think where my difficulty in saying sorry, and even to this day, is when I feel like you're taking a piss. If I feel like you're taking a piss, I struggle. Even if I know that, you know what, it's being a bigger person right here would probably work. I'm like, nah, it's not fair and it's not just. And that's where I have an issue being able to say sorry sometimes. When I feel like people are not fair and they're not just, and like people are trying to take a yard, that's where my sorry goes, whew. I'm sorry that your feelings are hurt, but I don't give a hoots what I just did because you deserved it in that moment. So I think my concept of what is just and what is fair to me is where I struggle to say sorry. Anywhere else kind of cool, all right, swallow the pride, say sorry. But when I feel like you stepping on my toes with fairness, and you know that it's not fair what you're doing, that's where I get a little bit, the mind struggles to kind of say sorry in that area. Do you know what I mean?
Just to compliment that, I also struggle to apologize if I feel like somebody hasn't reflected on said scenario enough to be able to see where they went wrong. Like, I'm happy to take accountability for what I did, but then if I start apologizing, it's like, yeah, and it's just like, yeah, but
Yeah, don't encourage me.
Don't forget you did that. It's like, yeah. Well, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Jay, what's your thoughts to this as we're talking?
I'm just laughing because I get it. I get it because it still bothers you what they did, and you want them to apologize. And sometimes the fact that they don't see it or they're not, it's just that bothers you. But do you know what? All I can say here, that I just had to let that go. Let's not worry about the other person. The reason being because I knew what that behavior would do to me, like on the inside. And it's something you mentioned right just now, but it slipped my mind. But it's to do with that power play. So okay, so I'm dealing with someone now who doesn't know how to apologize. So I'm not behaving any better than they are. So in that power play, me apologizing takes that power away from them. Whereas if I now behave like them, that's justification for them to now start saying, look, I told you so, look, see, ABC. So for me, that's what bothers me. So I've had to go through very harsh experiences to learn, do you know what? Let me just release myself. However they're going to be, let them be. But let me release myself. Obviously, number one, God is watching me. And number two, when you release yourself, you realize after a while, people can't say nothing about you. Because you've been honest. You've been self-aware. You've released yourself. Their behaviors will catch up with them. But as for you, you're not giving them an excuse to have your name in their mouth. So that's why I'm the way I am. Again, I like peace. I don't mind war sometimes. But if I can lead with peace, let me lead with peace. Because some people are honestly not worth it.
I love that. Naomi, what's your thoughts to what he just said there?
I think I should be more like Jason.
We should all be more like Jason.
We should. No, it sounds good. And obviously, in theory, that's like the attitude I want to have moving forward. But I definitely get taken back sometimes when I see my ego step, and it's like, you know better. You should just go to their level. You shouldn't give them that power. But it's kind of like, you know how you argue with yourself through people? It's like, okay, you're trying to like prove to yourself that you're not a mug, or like, yeah, I can be this too.
That is that key word there. I'm not a mug. It's also another reason why sometimes I can't apologize. Like, you're actually taking me for a mug. If you think I'm a mug, then let me tell you something. The apology is not coming for you. It's mug written over my forehead. You've got another thing coming. And Jay's there doing animations. What are you saying?
But why does apologizing reflect you being a mug? Because no, fair. Go.
No, go.
No, I was going to say, why does apologizing reflect you being a mug? Because you can apologize and stand taller, but let them know, I see what you did. I'm apologizing because I'm releasing myself. I don't want to carry it, but I see what you did, and don't think that I've forgotten. From this point onwards, our relationship has changed. That's it. You move on with your life. To me, that's powerful.
Too easy. That's too nice. That's not messy enough for me. It's not messy enough for me. And like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you slapping me. It's like you slapping me and going, I should turn the other cheek. But my right hand says, give them the Kamehameha and slap them differently. And let them know it's not me you're going to do that to. You understand? I know what's right in that moment. I think we've spoken about this, Naomi, several times. I'm self-aware to know what's right, but right now, you're going to catch a right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? In that moment, you're going to catch a right, and you're going to see what's right. All right? And that's how I feel in that moment. Sometimes the emotions is too much, and I don't want to do what's... I think this is also another thing that I get stuck in, and maybe Naomi can talk about this. I'm sometimes tired of doing what's right. Why am I always expected to do what's right? Today, I don't want to rise above it. Today, I want to come from underneath and give you one of those. You know what I mean? Naomi, talk to me.
I felt that that was in my spirit, what you just said, because no, and I'm mastering the art of not being a nice person, because I think niceness is very performative and it's overrated, and sometimes people misread. Like, you can have a kind nature, but that doesn't mean you have to be nice to the point where people, because more often than not, what I found is that people mishandle nice things. They start thinking you're less than, or they treat you less than, they start mishandling you. You start being like a bit of a punching bag to people. And it's like, for the most part, doing the right thing feels good most days. But some days I think it's very important to prove to people that we can all be mad together as a collective. Let's all be mad. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree that 100%. Yeah, maybe because again the way we are grown up, and maybe as well. Like, I think you're so expected to do the right thing, and always rise above it. I think that probably comes from our parents, that that every single time, whenever you war, you're never right. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what position you come from, even if you had all the facts, all the evidence, you're never right. And it's like, I think there's a trigger that when someone does a similar behavior where it's like, you know you want me to rise above like I did my parents and ignore what's happened to me in this moment and ignore how I feel in this moment. I am tired. I think this is something called there's a self discipline barometer where everyone has this kind of bar of self discipline, and if it depletes in that moment, then your self-discipline goes out the window and you become very impulsive and you just react. Some days my self-discipline bar is at the bottom of the barrel, okay? And unfortunately, you've dragged me to the bottom of that barrel, and what is at the bottom of that barrel is a lot of noise coming out. And unfortunately, I can't be the good guy in that moment. And I feel like you're taking advantage of me, knowing that I'm the good guy. And because I'm the good guy, you're taking the milk. And again, you're making me the mug. I'm not the mug for you. Get me? I'm not the mug for you. Get me? So, Jay, you want to say something and Naomi will go again. Talk to me.
That's cool. But that goes back to my... hold on. That goes back to my point. I've been through those situations where I really wanted to, like... some people have got that side of me, don't get me wrong, in recent years. But... me, I can still cut it and apologize. Like, I can still say what I need to say, but say, do you know what? Sorry for shouting. Sorry for behaving this way. I can say what I'm saying without being this way, but I'm going to continue saying what I'm saying. To me, I just see it as I'm not giving them the power to now get away from the issue I have with them by behaving that way, because they're going to use it against you. Most people who are like that are going to use it against you because there's other factors in play. So I have to step away from that and say, nah, because I'm just going to get angry myself. The more tactics that you use to now not acknowledge you're wrong, I'm going to get angry. So it's like, what can I do to make sure? All right, well, I say make sure, but what can I do to mitigate you doing that? So if that means I need to apologize for my bit, I'm going to do that. Again, if you want to start misbehaving, it's entirely up to you. But I know the outcome is going to happen. And to me, as long as I know I've dealt with it correctly, that's completely fine. Because to me, because I don't ever regard myself as a nice guy. Because when people see a certain side of me, then they're like, oh my gosh. But I'll just say, listen, but I'm a good person. But if you cross me, you will see a different side of me. So to me, I'm always open. I don't carry that in. And again, it's because of the work I've done. I've decided I can't behave like this because all I've seen is unhappiness. All I've seen is madness that comes from it. For me, I'd rather just keep my peace and move on. I'll leave you there. It's fine. I'll keep my peace and move on. That's it. There's no, now we're going to come back together and then be pally-pally or come back together and for us to do the same thing again. Why? Thank you for showing me you. Now I can move on with my life. I've released
a very
myself.
mature response. Can't lie to you.
That's it. Like,
a very mature response.
Honestly, I'm at this age of my life. I like peace.
No, at this age, no. I'm not really. I mean, of course, this age, but not really this age. Because, like, of course, I think we all have a better response to, and we're all at different levels in terms of responses. I'm more talking about more the past situations in terms of how you may have dealt with certain things. Because obviously, right now, if you mug me now, I'm not about to turn it into a mad thing. But I mean, I'm not going to turn it into a mad thing, but I'll find another way. I mean, as for me, I don't cut your throat from the front. I do it from the back. You understand? I'm going to use intelligence to kill you. But I'm saying for like in the past,
it's been the same.
Taking that mature response. That's a very mature response. I can't lie to you.
Been the same, bro. Ask about me, bro. It's been the same.
Is that maybe then if you grow up the same way, is that your nature over the fact is that nature over nurturing? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you know what I mean? Because like I know my nature is that put me in that circumstance, you won't catch a 2-piece. So maybe your nature isn't catching a 2-piece.
Nah, because I know if I did that, what would happen? So I've had to really that's how I was brought up. Okay. But it goes back to my point. I've had to get away from that because I know if I behave like that, I know what would happen. So I have to be like, nah, let me do what I need to do to stay away from that zone. until it just became a natural part of me. So this is literally how I've been throughout my life. So in terms of what you're saying, of course there have been people who have taken a mick, who have tried to treat me like a mug. But the way I deal with it, you can't come and continue that behavior and try and be champion. Like, you're gonna feel silly. Like, that's to me, that's why I'm happy with the way I deal with things. And not perfect. It's just I've taken whatever power, whatever you have out of your hands. I don't even collect it. I just dash it on the floor and I leave you there. Like, there's nothing we need to talk about from this point onwards. Thank you. Goodbye.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I like it. It's different. I like it. Naomi, what are you saying?
I wanted to ask Jason, how does he channel emotion in those like scenarios? Because you sound very assertive and clear cut, and I feel like if I was on the receiving end, obviously I'm just making an assumption of you being so assertive and straight cut. It might seem like there's no emotion, there's no real care. How do you get the emotion in those apologies?
Well, at the moment, I'm not apologizing for anything. So if I've genuinely felt like I've messed, yeah, you're gonna feel the emotion. No one's ever accused me of apologizing disingenuously. Just in those moments, I will properly apologize and I will address whatever I've done, and I'll address how you feel, and I'll even talk about from this point onwards, this is how we're gonna move, this is the solution, or whatever the case may be. Just that the reason why. Okay, let's take your words. There's no emotion is when people are taking the mick. You're not going to see me emotional just to use that against me. And you can say that's even protection. That's me trying to protect myself. That's fine. But in that moment, I've realized if I behave the way they are behaving now, they have every excuse to now take the heat off themselves and now pull it on me and try to justify all their behaviors. And there's been so many scenarios. Like, we had a conversation yesterday, coach. There've been so many scenarios where if I behave like that person, I even people who respect me wouldn't be able to respect me anymore. So I've had to choose to just be different. If I've done something wrong, you'll hear it. But if you're just taking a mick, you will see a different side of me. It doesn't have to be two-piece, but you will know by my assertiveness that I'm not playing around. So it's up to you what you decide to do from there. But at least I know. At least you know. At least I've told you. So decide.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. I think what I'm trying to figure out is where did the divergence happen? Because to take such a mature stance, I'm wondering what happened that you saw the light so early.
I think I just realized I didn't be like my dad from early, bro. That's all it was.
I mean, I didn't want to be like my dad either, but I still find myself repeating the same mistakes. So I'm saying, what? I'm saying, what did something because the reason why I'm saying that is because you're explaining it as the way I'm hearing it anyway is that from young you managed to get that revelation. So I'm wondering if the same upbringing we all kind of had, similar enough how our parents behaved, why did you take that complete left? Because something must have injected in that moment for you to see that. Otherwise, then it becomes nature. It becomes that's your nature, rather than it be nurturing. You know what I mean? So something must have hit you at a particular time that revelation kicked for you. Because as for me, revelation didn't kick until after I kicked a few times. So you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. How did you get it? You know what I mean? That's what I'm asking, I guess. Something must have happened if it's nurture, but if it's nature, then it's just you. That's just how you would have always reacted because that's how you would have adapted. But that's what I'm trying to figure out in a sense.
I don't know how to answer it because it's like, and don't get me wrong, over the years it's improved. And I'm not saying it was this mature when I was younger, but all I can say is that I just didn't want people to feel the way I was made to feel by people. That's really it. And what I would say is that this is what I was going to say earlier. Obviously, all three of us had, if you remember the conversation that we had in, what was it, March, right? So you are aware of certain things that I've been through. So last year, I was in that space where I was like, okay, anyone who ABC is going to catch a two-piece. But I didn't want to be that person. Like, I wanted to come out of that quick. Because I know how I will be if I'm like that. I shouldn't be this calm. I shouldn't be this reserved, but I chose to be this way and work on myself because I didn't want the consequences that are going to come with that. And to me, I guess the consequences of seeing the people around me who are like that, it's an ugly character, extremely ugly character. And I just didn't want to be like that because I see what it causes. Again, I'm not saying I perfectly do anything, but when you choose what type of person you want to be and you work on it, this is the type of person I chose to be. And I realized for myself, as much as some people take the mick, this is the way God has made me, and there's a reason for it. And there's so many great things that are even happening in my life now because of that same character. Like, people respect me because they respect me. They don't respect me because of fear. You know, people give me opportunities because they love the person that I am. They don't look at me as someone who's problematic or toxic. And to me, I have no reason why I need to change. And for me, again, it's simply because I just didn't want to treat people the way that I was treated or the way that I've seen. Because it's not just an isolated case, it's also the way those same people talk about those people behind the scenes, etc. So that whole character in general, I just didn't want to play with. So there isn't a specific thing that happened. I've just decided from what I've seen, I cannot be that way. And I just, from teenage, I just said I need to work in it. Because, bro, I was aggressive, but my nickname was Pitbull. Like, if there was beef, people are calling me. Like, I was an aggressive guy. I used to box. I used to play football. My dad used to grab me up because I used to be that typical young guy who's just wants to fight, just wants to just cause problems. But so people are shocked when they see me today if they haven't seen me for like 20, 25 years. But I don't know. I just grew up and said I don't want to be that way. So
Oh no, so then, okay, that's it then. So
yeah.
you did have you had an exit point. So you, because obviously my thing wasn't fighting. This face is too pretty to fight. But so your thing was that you were fighting, and when you realized that wasn't work for you, wasn't work for you, that's where the U-turn happened for you. Because mine wasn't fighting. Mine is that it was subdued into a time and season when it got exposed by wounds when in a relationship. But your one was that you were fighting already, and then there's a switch, which makes sense. There's a complete contrast. Okay, so that makes a bit more sense. Cause I was just thinking to myself, bro, you're just taking hits like it's NFL, and you're it's not going anywhere. I'm wondering where the energy's going.
No, thing is, that change happened from like 10 years old. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like I got older and it happened. It was just, I literally went from someone who probably would have gone jail when they got older to someone who was the complete opposite in terms of the way they was towards people, but still keeps that same, like the foundation is there. But it's me deciding not to allow that to take over myself, take over my mind, take over my body. So it's just that change. I can't specifically say what happened, because I don't know. I just know during that transition period of like my early teens, I just became different. Because, yeah, I would be a very, very different, angry guy if that transition didn't happen. Because, anyway, we could talk more about it off cam. Anyway, like what I'm trying to say. But you guys know, you understand like what people go through. So it's like, nah. I can't be that, man. No.
That's fair. That's fair. Naomi, what's she saying? What are you saying?
I think just to compliment what you guys were saying, I feel like the older you get as well, the more you realize. I think Jason said it earlier that it's not a sign of weakness to apologize. The older you get, it's almost as if the awareness changes. I used to feel so strong, big and bad, not saying sorry, but now it's like I feel big and bad when I apologize first, kind of thing. And maybe again, like I spoke about the reverse apology side of it, kind of fueling my own ego by feeling like I've apologized first, I'm more mature, I've got the upper hand now, I've got the power. But I think for me, I've realized very quickly that if you really want peace, you need to be able to let go of scenarios, and the best way to kill certain things is by apologizing, just so you can get rid of the thought. Like, my dad and I aren't on the best of pages, haven't really been speaking for the last 3 years. And it took me a long time to be able to put my emotions to the side where I've been wrong and just at least take accountability for my part to play. And I just feel lighter in energy. Like, I just feel I don't have to think about it continuously. Like, when his name pops up, I don't have these negative feelings and thoughts anymore because I've been able to rid myself of the energy. So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, it's also interesting because I think, as yourself and Jay were talking, because I was thinking of something. So basically, I've told a story before where obviously some people did me dirty in it for money. So one of my quote unquote aunts and one of my boys basically, yeah, in total, like basically like cheating me out of 5K, right? Yeah, 5K, yeah. And both of them, the way I dealt with it when it happened was, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. It is what it is, right? Now, part of me wanted peace, and I remember I was talking to my friend about it. She's like, you're just so peaceful, but how can you just let it go? I'm like, whoa, money come, money go, man. That's what I always say. Money come, money go. You know what I'm saying? So part of me also, I believe, is matured in that area very, very early. But then I also realized part of me is a little bit of a beach. That's the honest truth. And so, like, that's why I was asking Jay about why you were so placid from early, because I always feel like there's two energies. Like, if you've gone through traumatic things on the youth, part of you matures in certain areas, and it's like, I don't want to be like that other person. But then you're trying to find that balance. Because let me tell you this, because all I was thinking was, okay, they cheat me out of 5K, what can I do to them? I can't fight them. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get 5K back. I can't bang her in the face. I ain't going to get 5K back. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's not really my MO either. And in my head, I was thinking to myself, I don't know how I can get you back anyway. So there's no point even wasting my energy in that area. But the other part of me was like, the only reason why I'm being calm and placid about it is because also I'm a people pleaser. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to get on the phone and now start cussing you from north to south. It's not really my style. So I was so in my head, I'm like, people might see there's a maturity in that area that when people do me dirty, I can let things go. And I really can let most things go. But there's also other part of me, which is I just don't like beef. And that's not necessarily to do with any maturity. That's just to do with the fact that that's just me. I don't like having dispatch with people and being at odds with people. I don't like being disliked. So then that's the other aspect for me. Do you know what I mean? But that was just my kind of thought process in that particular area. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that. I'll share their thoughts. Go for it, Naomi, and then Jay will go on.
I'm scared of myself. I don't like putting myself in situations where I haven't mastered discipline and control over certain expressions of mine. I'd rather just not go to a place that I can't come back from. So I'll just say sorry, because I know that if I hone in on this angle, this emotion, it's going to derail, and I don't immediately know what can happen after that, and I just don't want to go there. So I'll just apologize and we move on. And obviously to other people it might seem very mature, but it's really me protecting myself from myself and not embarrassing myself ultimately.
Love that. That is a bar. It's about mastering expression. I love that. Jay, talk to me.
I'll take things that the both of you have said. So you said, Coach, about not being liked. Yeah, that's me. My main thought process isn't, I want to behave like them. It's like, okay, how am I going to deal with this situation? Like, we don't need to talk after it, but how do I deal with the situation where afterwards, if you want to say something negative, you'll just be lying to yourself. Like, that's literally what I think about sometimes. And also, like you said about Naomi, about not trusting yourself. Yeah, there's part of that there as well. That's why I said I don't like going to certain lengths, because if I really start acting that way, like, I wouldn't be able. I have extreme discipline, but I don't want to. Everyone has a trigger, right? Everyone has a trigger, and some of us have seen triggers on YouTube. You've seen certain things, so but we understand, bro. But we understand, right? The trigger is what now makes you that. Wow, did I really behave like that? Because some people are wicked. Some people are very clever at what they do behind the scenes in different ways. Some people might seem cool, but you know what they're doing. So it's just about, okay, how do you stop yourself from losing it? Because once you lose it, you've lost it. That's my saying. So that's why I try to stay disciplined and just say, let me stay focused. Let me analyze the situation properly. And in terms of relationship, if you feel a certain way, I'm going to ask you, like, why do you feel a certain way? It's not about, oh, I didn't mean it. Yes, I didn't mean it. But because you feel a certain way, we need to address it and move on, because I need you to be happy. If you're going to start dwelling on this and then sticking in that mindset because you feel like I'm not being accountable, that can't run, because it's not going to be a happy situation. But that's how I am. There's times where I'm like you, Coach. I just leave it. Some people look at me like, oh, how could you? Listen, it pains me to leave it, but it's the better outcome, because I can get on with my life. Whereas if when I come to you and start hollering, start shouting, start dealing with you, it's now going to continue. And it's like, I've got other things to focus on, and I'm not that guy. Like, if you get when you get in a boxing ring, we can do what we're gonna do. But I'm not that guy who's gonna now start fighting you on the street. That's gonna start knocking down your door. Some people think I am because of the way I am sometimes, because of the way I speak sometimes, or when I get angry, how I am. Like I said, people used to call me Pitbull when I was younger, but they're always shocked when after it, even though I have an excuse to, I don't do that, and I don't know what to do with themselves. But at the end of the day, I'm just focusing on what I need to focus on in life, being the best Jason I need to be. So dealing with you in that way is gonna waste my time. So I just rather do something else.
I know as well for me, um, I think I agree with what both of you said, and I think my greatest fear is I'm plotting your downfall. So, and that's my greatest fear, that if I allow myself to go, I'm plotting your downfall. And I don't know how far I can go because I've never been allowed to go far. Do you understand? So I don't know my extremes because I've never been allowed to go that far. I've always been maintained as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Because my parents always they never allow you to go anywhere beyond a certain limit. So you can't talk back to them. You can't do this. You can't do that. So imagine you've not been able to do any of those things. You can't swear. You can't talk back to them. You can't do this. You can't do that. You know what I mean? All of that gets contained into a bottle. And the way that my mind works is, okay, so I can't punch you. You're right, I can't. But I can plot your downfall. Oh, I can manipulate people to come and make it look this other way if I wanted to. So I'm scared of that aspect of me, that the darkness will arise and I go into that space. And when I go into that space, I don't know if I don't know if you can come back once you. It's almost like taking a body. You know what I mean? Like once you've got a body on your hands, I've heard it's very difficult to come back from that because you now know the extremes. You can go there once, you can go there twice. I don't want to go there once, you know what I mean? Because then I can go there twice. And now you know that it can work as well. Yeah, I fear. So I think a lot of times my expression sometimes is muted, you know, because I'm afraid that there's a line. I don't want to cross that line because if I go past it, I don't know if I can come back as well. And when I get to that point, I won't care. And that's a very dangerous place for any human being to be in, do you know what I mean, personally? So that's why I think sometimes, you know, I might say sorry, but, you know, in the back of my mind, I don't really care, man. If I get my opportunity, I'm going to finish you. But, Naomi, what's your thoughts? Sorry.
I love everything you said. Obviously, some people wanted to shade me about my little YouTube moment, no names. But ultimately, that is very much what happened to me. For a long time, I felt very quote unquote suppressed, like always on the receiving end of being antagonized and this, that, and the other. And then the one opportunity where it happened, I was like, do you know what? Like I said earlier, let's all be mad together. I exploded. And it's taken me quite a few years to actually look back and say, do you know what, Naomi, that's actually embarrassing what you did. Because for a long time, I felt justified. I felt like, okay, like I let it out and this is me. And, you know, all of this anger I've had on the inside finally came out. And it was kind of liberating, like even the action itself. But ultimately, I don't like the fact that I was so calculated in what I did and how I felt. And, you know, I wasn't apologetic. I didn't take accountability. I didn't like the fact that I was so angry that I was blinding me from being able to see right from wrong kind of thing. And I just don't like sitting in those dark places. It doesn't make me feel happy with myself.
That's a bar. That's real. I'm with you on that. Yeah, I don't like that either, to be honest. Jay, what are you saying?
I just want to add that to even what you're saying. Sometimes, I think you mentioned this earlier, but sometimes it's like you don't care. You're just going to react the way you're going to react because of that justification. Now, I've been in situations, yes, I apologize afterwards, but at that point in time, you know, we talked about the discipline being the lowest. I've been in occasions where the person has taken the utmost mick, and I've even warned them multiple times to stop, but they've continued. And I lost it. Not physically or nothing like that, but my words were gunning them down. They didn't know what to do with themselves. Then, you know, tried to use that against me. But in that moment, we do feel justified. But at the same time, they can be the worst person, but as soon as we behave that way, we give them the power to say, look, see this mad person, see this mad this. This is why it's like, all right, either once you calm down, just apologize because you know you shouldn't be behaving this way. Or if you can once you calm down in that moment, fine. If you need time to process it, that's completely fine. But it's just, to me, it's just how I know I feel in that moment. I don't want to be, and how I see that type of person. I'm not saying it's okay, but how I see that type of person, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be what I'm seeing. because I know how I feel about that type of person. So that's my thing. That's why I try to stay clear away from it. For 2 reasons: being that type of person and making people feel the way I've been made to feel. To me, that's the most important thing for me. So if that means I need to apologize, if I need to be humble, if I need to leave it alone, then I'll do that. Because the worst case scenario is me being like that. Because I feel like in life, I'm a type of person, I am the way I am with everybody. I can't pick and choose. I can't be this way with one person and be that way with another person. So if I'm going to be triggered that way and I'm going to stay in that zone, everybody's going to get it. So I have to decide what type of person I want to be.
You know what's interesting as well? I was just thinking as you're talking about certain situations. I remember in the past, there's 2 situations that I slightly regret that, and it wasn't necessarily to do with sorry, but I went past my own limit. There's 2 situations. I remember probably when I was probably like 12 years old. I remember in the playground was one white girl was saying that she liked me, and I told her, listen, darling, it's not that, you know what I mean? I'm not feeling you like that. But then she went and told the whole school. And when you're in a black school, when that information passes around the whole school, you know what I mean? You're finished, you know what I mean? Before you know, everyone's saying, when are you going to go out? And I was like, guys, you already know it's not my thing, But she kept on pushing it, right? And I remember she came to the back playground where the boys play football. And she came with her friend. And she was like, coach, I like you, And I told, I remember I lost it. Because I was angry. Because, and this is going to sound so bad. Social hierarchies. Let me just say it that way. Social hierarchies. Okay, let me put it that way. Okay, that's the politest way I can put it. Social hierarchies. And then when obviously you're saying this, it's affecting the social hierarchy. Let me just put it that way, right? I don't want to be rude. So when obviously now she comes to back playground saying that she liked me, I really didn't like her. And then you say it, and I lost it. Because everybody was kept on saying to me, kept on bantering me and laughing at me. I just lost it, and I told her, what in your wildest dreams think that me and you're ever going to get together? Just leave me alone and fuck off. But I said it loud, like not like old conversation. I said it loud. I said it so loud to her. And I remember she started crying, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck, man. I walked off and went to play football. And I remember I saw like a few days after, and I was trying to apologize in the chip shop. I saw in a chip shop. She came in and she saw me and she walked back out, and I chased after her. I said, I'm really, really sorry. That was not meant to be how it was meant to come out. And she's like, oh, just let it go. I don't want to talk. But even to this day, that moment of losing it, when I regret, you know what I'm saying? I fully regret, like, do you know what I'm saying? So it's things like that. I know my tongue is sharp. If I want it to, it can be very, very sharp. And I don't want it to be that way. This is why sometimes I don't like being pushed to certain corners, which is why sometimes I might just apologize ahead of time, because I don't want to go to that far corner, because I'm gonna find something to say. See, because me also too, the kind of person I am, I've collected everybody's secrets. So if you come and try me that day, it could be your end of your life. But I would never do that, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, do you know what I mean? So it's like, you don't want to get to that place where you ever find yourself like that. And the second time was actually, this is wild. The second time was, I remember this was like uni times, and one girl must have invited me to her particular uni, because I was at another uni. She invited me to her uni to come and stay in it, and she had a man at the time in it, and we used to flirt a lot. So this girl tried to banter me in front of everybody, and she was like, but obviously you came here, you didn't get nothing though. I said, but how are you bantering me and you have the man? This makes no sense. And I blew it out to everybody. And everyone's, I remember everyone sat there like, and you know when you just kind of catch yourself like you've gone way too far. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, I've gone too far. But in that moment, all I could think of was, I just don't care. Like, I didn't care in that moment. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you're not going to embarrass me in front of everybody and think you're going to get away with it. So like when you lose it, and like you were saying, Naomi, when you lose it, when you look back at it, you're like, this is, in the moment, yeah, I won the battle. But in the end, the war, I lost to myself, because it's like now everyone will remember that moment, regardless how funny it was, no matter how rude it might have seemed someone, that they're now going to look at that moment and be like, rah, like, that how my man can be acting in that particular moment, like when he's under pressure, man just just dropping you in a vat like that. And so for me, keeping control is a necessity, because what's going to come out, I don't like to lose, so I always like to find something to leverage, and that's just the honest truth about me. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I tend not. That's just why I stay away from those things. Like, if we have an argument, we can have the argument, but if I feel like I'm getting angry, I exit, I leave it alone, and we can talk about this another time. But I don't want to ever lose it. I know I sound mad. Naomi, why are you looking at me like that for? Don't be looking at me like that. Don't be looking.
What did
at
I
me
do? I wanted to ask you guys if you're in fear of resentment. Like, you know how obviously we're trying to all be better people, turn our cheek, etc. And it's like, how do we know that there's not going to be the one time someone does something triggering? It might even be something really small, and then that's the one time you explode. Like, do you not sometimes feel like being a bigger person sometimes can feel like you're being a mug? Like, it's cute.
Like, it's building up.
It sounds good, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, like I'm at peace, and you know, I'm letting go. But then it's sometimes before you go to bed, you're like, do you know what? Like, no, actually, I said sorry, but I'm actually still annoyed, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah.
Then the next person who kind of gives you a bit of an attitude, now they're getting a shot in because it's kind of like a domino effect of like, and that's why I was saying earlier that I'm trying to unlearn this whole nice thing, because I feel like nice is fake. I'd rather be kind by nature, but I'm not going out of my way to be nice to people because I'm trying to like people please, like, for example.
I think for me, the truth of the situation in that instance is that I'm more angry at myself than I am at the other person, because I let you talk and say what you're saying, and I didn't do what I felt like I wanted to do in that moment. Not just have to destroy you or anything, but I didn't get to at least be like, yo, this is not how it's meant to go, or say something back to the person. You know, like, my reaction in that moment wasn't befitting, and I felt I'm angry at myself more. So yeah, maybe someone else might get it, but I'm more angry at myself, the fact that in that moment, no, you took me for a mug, but I didn't even let you address you and say, listen, this is not how we're going to do things. I just kind of took it, you know, in that kind of moment. And I think then it goes through your mind. You're thinking about it again, like later on, like, no, I got taken for a mug and I didn't say that. It's almost like when you have an argument with your partner and they're like, no, I had bombs to drop. And I didn't say it. It's like the next argument that happens, you're going to drop bombs from up high. So I think maybe that's part of it sometimes, you know what I mean? As well. Yeah, so maybe that's the resentment part. What are you saying, Jay?
For me, being that person releases my resentment, you know. Like, in actual situation, me thinking like that was fueling the resentment, the bitterness, the anger, until I literally had to say to myself, like, Jay, stop. And after I stopped being like that, that's when it released. But I guess that's just, I wasn't being true to myself. I allowed this person, or let's say a build-up of people, to cause me to be like that. Because like you're saying, Coach, I was angry at myself, thinking, why did I allow this to happen? Why ABC? Why ABC? But I had to realize, you know what? As much as we need to be better and apply ourselves in a better way, we have to realize that, you know what? This is just how these people are. This is just how they are. Not as an excuse, but we just have to understand there's nothing we can do to change them, because this is literally how they treat people. We're just one of many, for the most case. Or that person didn't care about us in the way that they said they did. That's sometimes we have to come to that truth and just release ourselves. Because sometimes we think, how dare you do that to me? How dare you? How dare you? Why? Why not? Why? Who are you? Like, who are we? Well, like, yeah, cool. We see ourselves as special, as different, as etc. But listen, people will do what they're going to do regardless. And I even forgot. This is meant to be a men's channel, right? So we're meant to be telling men something. So I'm going to say this. Naomi, please chime in. So I want a lady's point of view. The people who have really triggered me in my life have been women.
Absolutely.
Coach, we spoke about this.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it was off camera or on camera, like yesterday,
Dangerous
right?
woman.
Or was it Tuesday? When it comes to men, we have a natural limit because we know how it's going to end up. But when it comes to some ladies keep going because they know as men, we can't treat them or deal with them the way we would a man. So they'll continue. So the people who have triggered me the most have always been women, because men, we hash it out, some might back down, etc. But it's like, okay, is this now, where this can go, is it worth it? Then we just leave it alone, there's no problems, right? I can say so much about this, but for me, so guys, understand, you know me? Ladies know how they are. And that's why when a man is able to give them that grace, they are thankful that this man didn't run away or treat them in the same way in that moment, being impulsive, being emotional. Because any relationship that's like that can become quite toxic, can become quite an angry one, can become quite frustrating. Everybody wants peace, regardless if they've had peace in their lives. Because when you truly receive peace, and you're ready to receive it anyway, you realize this is what you need. But as men, if we now react in that same way, we've already lost the game. So as men, again, like we've been saying, coach, for a couple of weeks, guys, stop focusing on what the lady is doing and just understand how you are supposed to behave as a man. Like, stop using ladies as the excuse to continue that behavior. And it's even on a human being level, like man or woman. And that's why it goes back to, I don't want to be like this person. Because I can see it for myself. It's not good. So why am I going to do that myself? As soon as this is their normal. As soon as I behave like that, I've already lost. Nothing I say from this point onwards is going to change or help anything. Because I've now just behaved like them. So what am I going to do that for? If on the occasions where I've lost it, they have literally used me losing it to now get away from the fact that there was a problem in the first place. And even when I apologize, they still want to talk about my angry reaction. Oh, Naomi, as a lady, please, do you want to give the other side of this coin? Other side of this coin? Because for men, it is extremely frustrating, and not a lot of men even understand this is happening, right? So a lot of men will get frustrated, will get angry, and they may even start treating you a certain way, and they shouldn't. But they haven't truly dealt with themselves in their mind of how they're feeling to even address it. So that's why, again, it's about understanding what type of relationship do you want. It does start with your choices, fine. But what type of relationship do you want when you get with somebody? Like, have you worked on yourself enough to understand that pettiness, that anger, that resentment, that bitterness is only going to foster a very toxic situation? So you got to step back. I don't care if it's cousin, I don't care if it's sister, I don't care if it's brother. If you need to take a step back, instead of behaving like them, take a step back. Trust me, it's the much better outcome. And this is why I said that bitterness and resentment, when I realized this, it was very easy to get over it. No, like, as human beings, it will hit you. But in terms of getting over it, it was very easy to get over it because I was applying these things and I realized it helped me be the better version of myself. So now I don't care. How people are going to be, it's entirely up to you. If you behave this way, you don't need me being in your life. I'm not going to be in your life. And that's my power, to understand myself and what I bring to the table. If you're ready to receive that, great, let's get on. If you're not ready to receive that by your behavior, all you're telling me is that you're not the one. That's it. That's it. And I'm moving on my life. So I'll leave it as that.
Oh my gosh, a lot has been said. So first things first, I found new ways to validate myself in disputes. I find that people start nitpicking at certain things when you start making sense, start deflecting, start talking about your attitude and your voice and your tone, which are very much valid. However, I think giving people grace when they're in some emotions is important when you're trying to come to the root of a situation. If me and you have had a falling out and my voice is a bit elevated, I'm annoyed. So stop addressing my tone and hear the message ultimately. But that doesn't change the fact that obviously I have to take accountability for how I'm speaking to you. But in this very moment, I don't have that much control over my expression. But I want you to hear me, and that should be the focus of the conversation. When you spoke about, you know, women kind of like, you know, nagging and using their words, some women, those who can relate. I'm one of those women who in the past has used my mouth as a weapon. And I think when we first all met after we were filming in March, we spoke about this in terms of, I personally have sometimes felt inferior in having certain disputes with men because of their physicality. Because you're big and you're standing up, I feel a bit intimidating by your like physical presence. All I can do is use my power, which is my words, and you know, my pitch to kind of like meet you mentally where I think we're at. And for the most part, I know that most men aren't trying to intimidate you with that physical presence. Some men do kind of use the fact that they're bigger than you to kind of like, you know, try and make you feel a bit small. But I can only identify with having done that in the past because I feel small physically, so I'm trying to make myself feel bigger by way of shouting, getting louder, and quote unquote antagonizing you with my words. Which is not healthy, guys. Don't do it.
No, it's real. It's real. That's real. Okay. So when you said you were intimidated by us as men, maybe you can kind of give us a bit. I know you said about our physical presence and stuff like that. Is that? I guess I wanted to find a bit more insight into that because obviously, maybe as a man, I might do it and I won't even know. You know what I mean? Some of us men might naturally be aggressive, and that may naturally come across in just how they move. Do you know what I mean? So just to kind of just make it maybe paint a bit more of a more detailed picture. Yeah.
Okay, so for the most part, most men, like, biologically are bigger than women, taller. Like, in terms of your stance, is very sturdy and little thing. You know how you spoke to us about, you encourage people to always have disputes sitting down. So sometimes, like, body language does a lot to conversation. So if we're having an intense conversation and you're very much in your masculine and you're giving off that energy, I might feel internally intimidated. And obviously, as a woman, I can't meet you there physically. So I'm going to do things that I think can match that energy. And more often than not, that's me using my words and my tone. I'm going to get louder and I'm going to keep speaking because in my head, that makes me feel like, I'm kind of telling you that, I'm big too. You're not really trying to make me feel that way, but because of your stance and your masculinity, I feel that way. It's more about, it says more about how some women feel about themselves versus what men do. But I do feel like men aren't aware that, most, in my experience, most men are very blunt. They don't really know how to sugarcoat certain things. You're very assertive and you're talking to me like you're boys, and I feel small. So I'm going to try and find a way to kind of like make myself feel bigger with my words and my tone.
So are you saying, just want to hear your voice, are you saying that arguments between men and women are not the same as arguments between men and men?
Yes, absolutely, because I think from what I've seen, men are aware of certain, like, behavioral codes. So if you're having a dispute with a man and he stands up, you're going to know what time it is. You're not going to stand up because you don't want to give off that impression. But if you're speaking to, for example, your girl, you might get up, I don't know, maybe just walk away, or because you're trying to, like, make a point, or I don't know, it might even be second nature, just because you're trying to calm her down. But now I feel like, why are you standing up and talking over me? Like, no. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I just wanted to.
And it's the same with women. There's certain things that you wouldn't do. For example, if I'm having a dispute with a woman, I'm gonna try my best to not put my hand in her face, because I know that in girl code it's kind of like you're invading my personal space. But then if I'm having a conversation with a man, because in my head it's toxic to know that obviously he has to kind of like keep himself in his personal space. I might do that. I'm pushing a button, but I know that he's not gonna quote unquote cross that boundary potentially. But I feel like it's kind of, yeah, potentially.
No, I love that. No, I love that. Can you just expand on that a little bit more? Because I think it's a beautiful thing what you're describing, right? It's we all have our own things where we know we're taking advantage of situations. So I wanted to kind of just I just want to just tap into that a little bit more. What do you mean? So if you said that for women, your kind of triggers that could be signals to that this could end in a physical altercation is when hands go, right? Yeah. But you're also saying that sometimes you kind of know that the man that you're dealing with, if you put the hands in the face, he can't really take it to that level. So I want you to I want you to start that point again and just expand that a little bit more for us.
So I'm basically speaking about you, like, abusing your power, abusing your position in said conversation. Like I said, if you're at a place where you feel inferior or you feel intimidated, you're going to do things to try and trigger somebody, even if they're not immediately trying to intimidate you. So little things like getting in a guy's face. I'm laughing at my old self. I'm invading a man's personal space, using certain mannerisms, using certain language that you know. Also, you're trying to see how far you can get someone. Basically, you feel small, you feel angry, and you probably have noticed that I don't know if you guys can relate to getting more frustrated when somebody's not giving you a reaction. And I know that most men tend to switch off because they know that they're going to go very far. So they're not responding, they're trying to keep themselves controlled. But then ultimately, that for someone like me who's very impulsive and I'm quite like combative and confrontational, I want you to kind of go back and forth with me. So when I'm not getting that, there might be little things I'm going to start doing to try and get a reaction out of you, basically. which is not healthy, guys. Don't do it.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I wasn't even I was less thinking about you and more thinking about general populace because, we do talk about men moving mad and knowing that in the conversation with women they can try and intimidate. But then you highlighted a really good point, which is also at the same time there are ladies too who are intentionally knowing that at least hoping that when they do what they do, I'm guessing that you probably sized up the man before it's got to that stage, right? You probably sized him up, probably thought, I don't think he's the type. And, then you can do the whole, I put my fingers in your face kind of situation. Is that would that be fair to say? Or is it can be
I think
anybody?
it'll be fair to say for most people, my screws are very much missing. So I have found myself, I have found myself not thinking things through. Obviously, Backchat is a good example of that. And it was very much just me being in my emotions and not really thinking about whether or not this man could or can't. Some women are not like, it's going to sound very toxic to say, but there are women like me. I don't really care that you can punch me in the face, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah. If you make me feel so small that I kind of am invading, like, we're basically like at odds now. And it's kind of like, okay, you can punch me, but you're going to hear what I have to say, basically. And me being heard sometimes feels more important than like reading the room, basically. And some guys, like, they also know that, most women like to communicate and they'll shut down on purpose because they're trying to get a reaction. They want you to be more fueled, like more angry, start walking away, ignoring you, or like blocking you, or like just do certain things to kind of like fuel that aggression. So it kind of goes both ways.
That's fair. I appreciate it. Jay, what's your thoughts to that? We'll get our final thoughts because we've gone over the hour, but what's your thoughts to what Naomi was saying?
Do you know what, Naomi? I appreciate the honesty. Because a lot of guys, this happens to them. So I actually appreciate the honesty that at least it knows that these guys know, we're not crazy. What we think happens actually does happen. Because honestly, obviously now we're getting the chance to speak up. Now we're getting the chance to actually have a conversation. And there's not a lot of people like you who can actually listen to what a man's side of the story is or what he's going to say and actually respond accordingly. Like, we're still in a zone of people are going to try and shut us down. So I appreciate everything that you just said. And I think, again, that just goes back to understanding what type of person you are and what type of relationship do you want. Again, not just boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, it's with anyone. And then deciding if you want to be different, how to be different from there. But it's still understanding what outcome you want. So I'll give a scenario where, let's say I had issues with someone, and when I asked them, why are you doing certain things, they literally said to me, because I'm a woman and I can. And I said, wow, okay, no problem. I said, you know what, you are right. But what I continued to do was to not behave in a way that they was trying to get me to behave, because they hated the fact that they was always the one seen as the bad one. But in that scenario, that person was really the one doing the most, which everyone kind of saw. But for themselves, they just hated it because they wanted me to react like they did. Fast forward many years, not only did that person's parents come to me and say thank you, but that person came to me and said thank you. And now that person respects me the most that they've ever done in their life. Simply because I chose not to behave towards them in that anger, in that bitterness, in that resentment, like the way they was towards me at the time. And it's funny because at the time, it was women who knew about what happened were saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Didn't you say your ex-man used to beat you up and all this and that? It was a bit weird. I'm like, ladies, what's going on here? But it was the men that were coming to me and saying, Jason, well done. Well done for dealing with that in the way that you did. So this world, sometimes when you get into your feelings or you listen to the wrong influences, regardless of whatever the scenario is, it will cause you to react in a way that brings you more problems. So this is why I say to men, this goes to everyone, but this is why I say to men, understand that before you react, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, regardless, like, what outcome do you want? And in fact, if we're meant to be the leaders, we're meant to be the priests of the household, we need to lead by example. So take a step back and assess what is going on. Don't just start behaving. Look, we all have triggers. We're all human beings. We're all going to have times where we just do the most. It's life. But what normal people go through is that the grace that you have for someone, they don't tend to have for you. So you got to operate differently, man. You got to, like, we truly have to operate differently and decide what do you want in life. And yeah, just keep listening to everything that we're going to be talking about, because the series that we're talking about is addressing all of these things, believe me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All right, cool. Listen, I want to get everyone's final 1 minute statement. Just a little maybe takeaway for the audience, something that you want the audience to take away from what conversation we've had today. Maybe just one thing that they can take away, or one thing that's important you feel they should take away today as well. Naomi, go for it.
Be honest with yourself, be true to yourself, and focus less on people's responses and do what feels good to you. It's about your mental peace. It's not, I think oftentimes we make it too much about other people, and it's really about you and being happy with how you showed up. So as long as you feel confident and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? No, I think I'll just end with that. Just be true to yourself and always be mindful of how you're showing up, and if that's who you want to be.
Love that. Thank you very much, Naomi. Jay, one thing.
I think very relevant to the generation we're in. Just understand what outcome you want. And like Naomi is saying, be confident and happy with whatever the outcome is. Obviously based on what you did to get there. Like, that's the key thing. Like, so people will come to you all the time and say, you should have been like this, you should have been like this, you should have been like that. End of the day, be however you want to be, but just understand what's going to come from it. And if you're happy with whatever the outcome is, then yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do. But we need to get out of we're just going to behave in a particular way, knowing that we're just going to regret it later. Knowing that the happiness that we feel that we want is not going to be achieved simply because we're not exercising discipline, or simply we just don't care. And that's the generation we live in today, especially the younger generation. They just don't care. What did what's her name, India, saying Love Island the other day? May the best heartbreaker win, right? That's just that's the time that we're in. That's just the time that we're in. So, you know, and then what? Now you're loved up. Now that mentality is not there no more. So it's really understand yourself. What outcomes do you want? You know, and then just work in yourself. Just continue working in yourself, and then hopefully, not even hopefully, every single one of us will get to a point where we deal with things in a better way. We're just all at different stages of our lives, mental space, emotional space, spiritual space. We're all at different stages, but just take your time. You know what I mean? Just understand, if you really want to carry on this way, what the consequences or the rewards are going to be. And you know what? God will reward you, or he will show you how he feels about it. So,
love that.
That's it.
Thank you very much, Jay. Thank you very much, Naomi. Listen, audience members, it's been one of those amazing conversations again. Yeah, I didn't say sorry on purpose. I know a lot of you guys were commenting in the chat. I saw it. Let us know what your thoughts are. Do you agree? Do you have your own stories of not saying sorry? Let us know in the comment section, and show some love for the liking and sharing, and also subscribing to Dark Arts channel. It's been such a enthralling conversation. It's been therapeutic too at the same time as well, and I've fully enjoyed it. I'm gonna say, where can we find you guys? Jay, where can they find you first and foremost?
J_Anderson_King on Instagram. I'll start my YouTube very soon, so look out for it. But at the moment, it's just my Instagram.
Beautiful stuff. And Naomi, where can they find you? How can they interact with you?
You guys can keep up with everything to do with Naomi Mbelu at Naomi Mbelu on all socials. Recently dropped a new podcast episode speaking about how empowering being the bad guy is. Make sure you guys listen to that, and keep up with all my content via Shout Pretty Girl on social media as well.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you. All right, listen, audience members, it's been amazing. It's been great. It's been beautiful. Make sure you learn how to say sorry. Okay. All right. Don't be like my former self. I've changed now, guys. I've changed my ways. But if you cross me, 30 man will fall that day. I'm sorry, I'm joking. I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very soon.